All right, guys. I think we'll get rolling with who's in here, and if we get any late arrivers, we can just kind of catch them up. I see a few more popping in, so that's awesome. But appreciate everybody making some time here to join on a Sunday night for this very exciting opportunity for us. We've got Coach Sean Pfeiffer here from Grinnell College. And Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Very excited to be here.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you joining. We're excited to talk with you. Hey, guys, my name's Andy Drake. I'm the senior group recruiting coach for baseball here at NCSA, and excited to be chatting with Coach Pfeiffer here tonight. Going to bring you guys some great knowledge about not only Grinnell College and, some of his experience, but just overall, just kind of give you guys some knowledge on the recruiting process, hear it from a college coach who's doing it and doing the work in real time. So we're going to record tonight's session. I'm going to send it out afterwards to you guys as well. So if there's anything you feel like you missed or want to go back over, we'll get that out to you. And follow us on social media, man. Twitter, Instagram, NCSA Baseball. We'll post some content. Make sure you guys follow us there too if you aren't already doing so. But let's get into it. All right, real quick here. I just want to highlight a couple of workshops we have coming up here for the rest of the month. Just some of our really general basic ones, guys. I'm going to get the rest of my July curriculum on tomorrow morning. So check out this week with some of the upcoming July workshops, but emailing coaches, how to shoot your videos, some of our monthly and weekly ones there. Check those out here the rest of the month if you haven't checked those out. And I'll have our more kind of specific topics for July on the calendar tomorrow. So if you guys haven't been in here in any of my workshops, I'm going to take 30 seconds, give you my background, and then it's off of me here. So just real quick, guys, again, senior group recruiting coach, Andy Drake. I'm a former coach myself, obviously, been a head coach, recruiting coordinator at the college level, a couple of D3 stops, Cairn University out in PA, Kalamazoo College in Michigan, played at Calvin University, so Division III guy myself. And I've been here at NCSA for over 10 years, so hopefully be a good host tonight and be a good resource and reference for you guys as we're moving forward. But the main event, let's get to it here. So, Coach Sean, thanks for joining here tonight. Are you on the road right now? What are you guys up to here recently as far as any kind of stuff you guys have been doing?
So I actually have a rare time where I'm back home for
Nice.
the week. I am leaving tomorrow morning to head over to Sacramento.
Awesome. Awesome. Good stuff. We'll enjoy a little bit of time off. I know the summer can be busy with the recruiting for sure, but, tell the guys in here tonight, Coach, a little bit about your background here. How did you end up at Grinnell, playing and coaching background? Just give us a little insight into kind of your journey to ending up there at Grinnell College.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Coach Sean Pfeiffer. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. Grew up playing baseball since I was about 3 years old. Fell in love with the game early, so I was hit early. Caught the fever at about 3 or 4 years old, and haven't really put down a glove since then.
Mm-hmm.
So a lifetime baseball guy. Grew up playing in Chicago, went to Lane Tech High School, graduated from there, went on to Northern Illinois, and really started coaching as soon as I graduated from high school. I helped my high school head coach in the summers. Fell in love with the game at a new level in terms of, transitioning to coaching. Ever since I started coaching, I've kind of found myself, not being able to get enough of it. And that kind of led to becoming a head high school coach, a pitching coach at a higher level, and then finally transitioned to the college game here this last year. Awesome. At Grinnell College. So just completed my first season there this year. So I'm new, but definitely loving it, and it's kind of a dream come true here for me.
Yeah. Great stuff, man. Well, I'm excited to talk with you. I know the guys are going to learn a lot here tonight about just, things that go into the recruiting process and how to, maybe find their own kind of journey like that, and kind of getting the first steps going with it. So let's talk about Grinnell, man, because I know Grinnell is it's a special place. It's a very, very strong academic school, very good history and tradition in their athletics as well. And tell the guys here a little bit about, what makes Grinnell different, man? Like there's a lot of schools out there. Sometimes they all kind of can meld together, but what is it about Grinnell that kind of separates it from some of the other schools the guys might come across?
Yeah, absolutely. Grinnell is so unique. We are a high academic Division III school, so what that means is, we take our business seriously in the classroom, and you got to be performing in the classroom to be able to, take part in our great college. We really have a ton of stuff to offer. We are a very individualized and personal campus, meaning, like we only have about 2,000 students at our school. So everybody at our school really gets a personalized academic experience, athletic experience. And I think that really kind of brings the campus closer, and it kind of makes it a tight-knit community where you can kind of walk out on the street and see 5 or 6 of your players walking together, or maybe see some members of the community that you see at games. So I really enjoy Grinnell as a town, as a college, as a campus, and it's definitely different from anywhere that I've lived in my past, which was kind of new for me, but I found that I really enjoy it. And it's a great place to coach baseball, and we have a great team culture, and we're building every day. So I can't ask for a better place to be.
That's great stuff, man. So let's get into a little bit more about kind of the admission kind of side of things, because that is an important aspect for you guys, right? When you're evaluating potential recruits for it, you can't necessarily just go after every kid that's listed at the showcase, right? Or every kid that reaches out. So what are some of like the specific sort of admission kind of standards that you guys have to sort of minimally look at before you can even consider a potential recruit?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always, unique situations and different factors weigh in, but generally, we're looking at kids that are a 3.5 and above for GPAs. We're looking at kids who are, taking very challenging class schedules, keeping up with extracurriculars, high test scores, and then, obviously performing on the field, whatever sport that may be. In baseball in particular, it's not a sport where you can take a week off, take a month off, and then hop right back into it. So our players kind of have an added responsibility to balance a tough game to play while balancing a very tough academic schedule too. So when we're looking for guys to bring into our program, we really have to make sure that they're dedicated to both. So that's really something that we have to look at.
Yeah, definitely. I coached in that world as well, and you're exactly right. Like, you've got to find guys that are a good fit. So how does like the academic experience kind of play out for some of the guys at Grinnell? I mean, obviously the guys are, probably picking the school because it's a great fit for them on the academic side of things as well. What are some particular like programs or majors that guys maybe have, maybe are common ones that guys look at? And how do you guys sort of like tailor your schedule for your baseball schedule around sort of the rigorous academics there?
Yeah, it is a little different from other schools. One thing that comes to mind when you mention that is, some schools will play a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, whereas we are usually playing a Saturday, Sunday series and traveling Friday after class. Something that the school really does a great job of is tailoring the student schedule so that classes are done by about 3:30 every day, which gives us a lot of time to kind of work. The second half of the guy's day is kind of dedicated to the baseball, and then they can dedicate the first half of their day to the schoolwork. And it is challenging, but I think it's an extra motivator for our guys that they have this extra responsibility in the classroom, so they're excited to hold themselves to a higher standard, and that's what we love to see.
Awesome. So when you guys are looking at sort of the teams around you, the teams you compete with, talk more about like what conference are you guys in? Who are some of like your traditional like rivals? Like, who are some of the teams that you guys are sort of up against that these guys might be aware of as well potentially?
Yeah, definitely. So we are in the Midwest Conference. The name says it. We pretty much stay pretty close to the Midwest. We're in Illinois a lot. We're in Iowa. We are in Michigan a little bit, and we are in Wisconsin a little bit. But other than that, like it's such a competitive conference. There's a lot of great teams. We had a lot of great competitions this year. Cornell comes to mind when you mention, like series that, a rivalry feel to them, 2 extra inning games with them, and it came right down to the end of the season. Jockeying for only four playoff positions. It's tough when you have a 9-team league and everybody's kind of gunning for those spots, especially when you have the lovely Midwest weather to account for as well. So Midwest Conference baseball is never dull. It's always exciting, and it's definitely a great brand of baseball, in my opinion.
Very high level for D3, a lot of regionally ranked, national ranking type of schools that you guys are going up against for sure. So when you guys are sort of putting together your recruiting list, right? You've been there a year now, so you've kind of had a chance to kind of see the cycle, and now you're kind of moving into sort of year two and evaluating roster needs and so forth. How do you guys sort of approach that? What are some of the qualities that you're looking for? Talk to the guys in here tonight a little bit more about some of the specific things that when you're putting together your list, what does a Grinnell baseball guy look like? What are some of the checklists that you're looking at?
Yeah, I love the question there because the positional needs and the individual needs may change from year to year, but the kind of kid that we're looking for and the kind of player that we're looking for really remains the same. We're looking for guys that are going to battle for us. We're looking for guys that want to get better. Guys that have shown growth and are not finished products yet, because we do want guys to reach their full potential. We don't want them to come in thinking that they are at their full potential. We want to see growth. We want to see guys that are looking to compete every day to get their spot and help us get to where we need to be. So those are things that stick out to me in terms of, what guy we're looking for. And then, position wise, metric wise, those things mean much less to me. As what I'm looking for is I'm looking to go get a guy who's going to make me proud that he wears the same jersey I am.
Gotcha. Yeah, awesome. So when you guys are out, there's a lot of different things you're looking at, but you're really trying to identify those guys that fit the school, fit the program, and sometimes it's not always like a really subjective thing too. There can be some objectiveness to it as well. So all right. So when you guys are looking at sort of like putting together that, how do you guys communicate as a staff when it comes to like the recruiting? Like who's kind of taking the lead on it? Who is there like a main person? Do y'all kind of share responsibility? How kind of as a staff, how do you guys kind of work recruiting there at Grinnell?
Yeah, so at Grinnell College, our head coach Tim Hollabaugh and I are the only two paid positions on our school. So we have two volunteers that help out where they can. But for the most part, he and I kind of split it down the middle, and he attacks half one week, I attack one half the other week, and then we flip them, and then we kind of make sure to keep in touch with all of our guys as much as possible, try to get eyes on our guys as much as possible. But at the end of the day, we're just two guys trying to recruit from a whole country, sometimes even out of the country. So it's a lot on our plate, but I can generally say I do really love recruiting. I love meeting guys. I love making sure that, I'm helping out where I can. If it's not, if our school isn't a fit for you, that doesn't mean, I'm totally not invested in you. I'm more than happy to put my 2 cents in, help you out, see where I can kind of help you grow as a baseball player too, because there's a lot of good baseball out here, and unfortunately I can't take all of you. I'd love to. Yeah.
and I love that insight. I think it's good for our guys to hear that kind of stuff too, because it's like, it's not as if every college program has like 20 coaches on staff that can like go out and get like, we're talking two guys, right, that are really kind of involved in this. So how important is it for the recruits that are in here tonight that are listening in, and whether it's for you guys or any other program, how important it is for you guys to hear from them, to get updates from them, for them to express their interest, and to like how important is that for you guys to kind of hear from the recruits, and instead of just them relying on you guys to sort of find them?
Yeah, it's incredibly important. If there was, one thing that I could maybe stress for guys to take away from this call is that be proactive in your recruiting process. Be, an advocate for yourself. If I'm not looking at you, why not get me to look at you? I'm more than happy to kind of take a look at guys. I'm very open with guys. I'm really, I am doing my best to find guys, but like I said, we're just two guys looking at a whole nation of guys playing baseball. So if you need me to see you, I'm more than happy to take a look at you. And I'm always very grateful for those guys that take that extra step and kind of get themselves out there. So, I mean, I know that can be kind of scary for high school guys trying to reach out to college coaches who think maybe they don't have a whole lot of time, but it's good. It shows initiative. It shows that you're interested, and it helps you get on my radar.
Yep. Hey, and if there's one thing I just kind of reiterated on that, guys like Coach Pfeiffer they want to hear from you, right? It's not as if they're sitting back and they're on some like ivory tower and like recruits are, sort of like need an invite to be contacting them. They want you to reach out, right? So make sure you're keeping them updated. Now, with that being said, I've been working here a long time here at NCSA, and have had some interaction with Coach Hollabaugh as well. And I know you guys have a pretty big like West Coast pipeline. I know, I've seen in the past you guys have had like a dozen or more like California guys, and have had had success with that. So even though you guys are located in Iowa, strong academic school is going to draw probably a bigger pool of applicants, but you guys also have had some success there. How do you guys sort of like geographically sort of attack or put together sort of your target areas?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting where we kind of get our biggest pools of guys from. California is definitely huge. We get a large group of kids from Hawaii too.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
nice.
really like two ends of the spectrum, and things just kind of work out where you find kids and you establish these relationship with coaches and communities. And you know, a lot of coaches are breeding a lot of the same kids, and a lot of communities are breeding the same kids. So if we find success in a place, we're more than willing to go back to that
Yeah.
place or that coach and kind of, tap that well again, because it's so, there's so much information out there. There's so much players. There's so much baseball out there that when you can find a trusted source, you really have to kind of attack it and make sure that you're using it to its full potential. But yeah, it's challenging for sure. California, great baseball out there. I myself would love to get more into the South recruiting because I think there's really great baseball there. And then I'm a Chicago guy, so I'm always rooting for my Chicago baseball guys, and I'm
Oh, for sure.
trying to get that pipeline established
Yep.
here too.
Yep. Yeah. So there's some great areas of baseball, no matter where you're looking. I know that there's a lot of places that that you can go find guys. Now, that's a good segue about like the coaches. I wanted to ask a little bit about that. So great segue there. How about like how do you guys develop? Like how important are the high school coaches, the club and travel coaches? Do you rely on those guys to kind of, hey, I got some dudes for you, check them out, kind of thing, or how do those relationships work for you guys in recruiting as well?
Yeah, that's one of that's one of the first places that I go to if I need players is some of the high school coaches that I have relationships with. Being a high school coach in the past, I know how much development goes on at that level and how much those coaches are involved in their players' interests and their decisions. So if you can really get on board with a good coach who's creating good guys that really want good situations and it's a good fit for your school, that's really the name of the game in recruiting. You just got to find those guys. So if you find them, send them my way for sure, because
Oh
those
yeah.
those are definitely dudes that I want to get in touch with that
Yeah.
I have no problem coming out to see somebody that they recommend.
Awesome, awesome. So keep that in mind too, guys. Like, make sure that that's an important point too. Make sure you get your references on your profile. Make sure you let coaches like Coach Pfeiffer know about who your references are, because those are going to be some of the first people they go to, to kind of find out some of the things about you and learn more about you as a potential recruit. By the way, I should have mentioned, guys, the chat box is open right now, so feel free to fire away in there. If you have any questions come to mind, questions for Coach here, feel free to fire away in there. But Coach, what are some of the challenges that come up for you guys in recruiting? As a not only as a high academic program, as a Division III program, maybe being like location, like whatever, maybe like what are some of the challenges, some of the things that come up for you where it's like, hey man, sometimes it's a little challenging to seal the deal with guys because of this or because of that in recruiting?
Yeah, it's definitely a big challenge here at Grinnell. We have to check so many boxes.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get the academics in line. We have to make sure you're good to go playing in Iowa, not
Mm-hmm.
afraid of the cold weather in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the season. We got to make sure that you're a good team chemistry fit, because that is extremely high on our list of what we hold important. But if you check those boxes and you're a competitive guy, this is a great place for you to play. Like we don't have an agenda that we're going on. We're going to play our guys to win. We're going to try to win every single game we play, and we're going to try to put the best product on the field that we possibly can. So it is a strenuous process to get in, and it is asking a lot, but we like that our guys rise to that challenge.
Awesome. Awesome. Tell the guys in here a little bit more about your schedule, particularly this summer. Now, I know in Iowa, it's a little bit interesting because your local high school guys are playing in the summer right now, right? So the high school season's going on there in Iowa. So, for your local guys, that can be a little bit interesting. You guys have a little bit more of a nationwide sort of recruiting base there, of course. But, in general, like, what's your schedule look like? What are you doing like from week to week? What kind of events are you going to? Any particular areas that you're traveling to? Tell us about kind of what your summer schedule is looking like as far as recruiting goes.
Yeah, I am definitely on the road. I'll be racking up some miles this summer for sure. Tomorrow morning, I actually leave to Sacramento
Hmm.
for a Head First academic camp.
Hmm.
I will be at the Stanford camp later in the month, and I'll also be at a Head First camp in Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
So I'll kind of be all over the place this summer. Coach Hollabaugh will be hitting other places as well. I know he's
Hmm.
already been to a showcase or two already this summer.
Yeah.
So we are definitely in full swing for recruiting. And then, if we can ever get to a tournament that your team is playing in or anything like that's stuff that we definitely love to try to
Hmm.
work into our schedule too.
Hmm.
We don't have a ton of time, but if we do have time, I'm feeling that with baseball. So it's it's nothing off my plate to kind of add
Yeah.
some more good baseball to watch. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something
Absolutely.
to keep in mind too for you guys.
Absolutely. You mentioned the Head First event. That's a big event for high academic schools, especially, right? So, like, whether every guy in here is pursuing like the very high academic route or not, there are sometimes showcases that are geared towards some of that. So, talk about how that can be an important opportunity or potentially a good opportunity for guys who are maybe looking at some of the higher academic schools. Why a Head First type of event can be a good one to look at.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable not only that you've you know, been able to accomplish having a good GPA and
Hmm.
be, a good student. Those are the kind of kids that are going to be at those camps, but
Hmm.
you're also going to be able to get a good look at the competition that you're going to be playing against because
Hmm.
the kids that are at those camps are going to be the same kids that are going after the roster spots that you're going after. They're going to want to play at the schools that you're going to want to play at. So it gives you a really good chance to see what's out there, not only, statewide, but it's
Hmm.
also countrywide. You're going to see kids from different states, different regions, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of good baseball out there. And sometimes it's really eye opening when you kind
Yeah.
of get out of your town or your city or your state, and you can really see that there is good competition out there, and
Hmm.
it's exciting to watch.
Yeah, I always thought of it too because Kalamazoo College, pretty similar to you guys, with the academics and so forth, where I coach. And I always thought, like, man, we have a smaller pool of guys to look at, right? So it's like just because of the academics. And so if guys who are in that pool can show that they're strong baseball players, even though it might feel like there's, like sort of a smaller amount of spots to go after, it's also a smaller amount of guys that the coaches can look at too. So you can get some of those closer looks, right? At some of these events, or, if you have that 3.5 and that 30 ACT, hey, some of the schools like yourself, those guys jump off the page, right? When you're at those events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it is an event where you do get a little bit of time to kind of discuss a
Hmm.
little with the players, a little bit of a meet and greet and kind of talk things out. So I would definitely encourage you guys to, the obviously baseball is a huge part of it, but take some
Hmm.
time to kind of talk with guys, whether it's a school you do know a lot about or a school you know nothing about. I think it's really good to just get different perspectives and kind of see what programs can offer you. You might not know, your best fits out there and it could be right next to you and you have no idea.
Yeah, great stuff. Great advice. Now, someone asked a question about the Head First events. Like, what are they? Like, so the Head First events, guys, and Coach can maybe fill in some gaps here. I can give a brief answer here first. But Head First is it's a high academic. It's called the Head First Honor Roll camps, and they have like West Coast and East Coast. And as you mentioned, I think they're doing some other stuff in some different locations now. But it's just all the top high academic schools are at that event, right? So if that's the kind of schools you're targeting, it's a good way to get in front of those. If you just look up Head First Honor Roll camps online, their website will pop right up there. But again, we're not necessarily promoting any particular events here, but that is a big one that is for the high academic schools. So awesome. All right, Coach, do you guys run any like camps at Grinnell? Is there anything that you guys do as far as like your own camps? Do you kind of avoid the summer camps and we target more fall and winter? Or what's kind of your guys' camp schedule looks like?
Yeah, we do hold a camp on campus. Right now, we are only planning to hold one, and I believe it's over the Labor Day weekend,
Okay.
and we're just about to send invites out for that.
Mm-hmm.
But something I am really interested in doing more of in the future is having more events at Grinnell, so we can get more guys to come and take a look at the campus,
Mm-hmm.
take a look at our facilities, and we can get a better look at guys the more
Yeah.
events we have there too. So I definitely want to get that going more in the future, just
Cool.
to kind of showcase the great campus that we do have.
Do you guys advertise those camps like on the website, on Twitter, and things like that when they're posted? Where can these guys maybe find that kind of info if you guys do have that posted up?
Yeah, so I take the lead on a lot of our social media stuff. So you can follow me on all the big social medias. It'll be Sean Pfeiffer, Coach Pfeiffer.
Mm.
And I'm pretty good about posting all of our, new events and stuff as soon as we get those printed out and flyered up. But
Cool.
yeah, I'm pretty good about posting all of our updates. So if you follow me on any social medias, you'll be able to see anything new and upcoming from Grinnell baseball.
I'll definitely include your Twitter handle in the follow-up email that I send to the guys too. But yeah, definitely look him up, guys. And if you're interested in knowing more about that, for sure, hit him up there. Now, Coach, let's talk about the timeline here. Someone asked the question, and that was going to be my next, kind of topic to get into. Like, talk about your timeline a little bit here as far as like when you guys start to sort of get serious evaluating recruits and looking at them, and when do you really sort of advise guys to start thinking about coming to visit campus if it's a high mutual interest? When do you kind of begin to make offers, and when do you kind of wrap up the class? Like, so sort of like talk to the guys here about sort of like the beginning. When do you sort of start to get on to the guys recruiting wise, and how does that process look?
Yeah, that's a great question because I feel like that is kind of a murky area,
Mm-hmm.
especially for guys in high school where, kids are getting, committed and signed so early now. It's kind of, it's a difficult situation to know when's the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely speak on what we kind of schedule our recruiting like. We definitely try to reach out to you and we'll get you on our radar probably around your sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll really start to engage with you throughout your junior year,
Mm-hmm.
figure out how your class schedule is going, figure out how your season's going, get to know you as a person, get to know what you're looking for, get to tell you a lot about what we are as a school, as a community, as a program. And it's a long process. So the beginning to end is probably, we'll talk you through your junior year, and then, through that summer, early fall is when we'll really kind of lock down and start to really sign our roster and sign our recruits for what we hope to be another great year for us. So it is sooner than you think, really. In terms of, I remember when I was in high school, I think a lot of guys were getting signed even after their senior year because
Mm-hmm.
it was such a different process back in the day. But now you see kids getting signed so early. It's kind of all over the place. But
Mm-hmm.
it's what we really do is we do a ton of recruiting with these guys in their junior year to
Mm-hmm.
where we really have a good feel for who the person is, who the player is, and what the fit looks like by the time their senior year is here. So I want to say we signed our last senior in October this year, maybe
Okay.
December. December, I think we signed our last senior this
Okay.
year. So it was, pretty much cut and dry by the time we were rolling in the spring.
Got it. Now, as far as like, maybe on the flip side of that question, kind of like maybe guys getting started a little bit, maybe later in the process, picking things up, maybe a little bit more into junior year. It's not necessarily too late though for you guys either, right? At that point, if you identify a really strong student, good baseball player, and it's maybe the summer between junior and senior year, is there still plenty of opportunity for guys to maybe connect with you guys and get on the radar and get those conversations going?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's never too late.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place for you to play at any stage in the
Mm-hmm.
process really. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure you're identifying the fit that works for you, the program that works for you. And a lot of that can be scary, but I like to encourage guys that it's mostly a conversation and getting to know people. And
Mm-hmm.
then at the end of the day, it's your decision and what fits you the best. So
Yeah.
it's so different for each individual that there isn't a checklist that you can really go through. It's more of what feels comfortable, what feels right for you, and then you take it from there. You work hard, and things tend to work out.
Mm-hmm. So a specific question came in, Coach, around like 28 grad, right? So we got like a rising ninth grader going in ninth grade this year. So as a high academic D3 program, what are you kind of doing with some outreach from somebody like that? I mean, do you guys have a list already going of 28s? Are you have like a questionnaire, just kind of a questionnaire database, or what are you kind of doing with guys like before some of the timeline we just talked about there?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can fill out our recruit me
Mm-hmm.
questionnaire at any stage of the game. And that really just locks you into our database so we can keep you updated, keep you in our system. You may be a freshman now, but now we're going to have 3 years of information on you by the time you're a junior, and we're going to be able to make a really good decision on the fact that we've known you for 3 years. So it definitely is an advantage to start early. And it may be, a little slow as a sophomore and a freshman, but it is only going to help you once you get your name out there. With social media, that's just a whole new level to the game. You can post a video and hundreds of coaches can see it within a minute. So that's something that is such a tool if you use it the right way nowadays, where I think it's such an advantage if you really lock into getting to the right people on that.
And even just that name recognition, right? I remember that dude. He reached out to me when he was in 9th grade, and all right, cool. Like, so he's kind of been interested all along here. That so some of that name recognition can help. I mean, he might not need to reach out to you like on a monthly basis, right? Probably as a freshman or anything like that, but a periodic update may be all right. What would be kind of your sort of like recommendation on how often and from an update for a kid at that age?
Yeah, so I'm maybe a little unique, but I'm always happy to see an update from a kid.
I like it.
working on his game. That always kind of brings a smile to my face, no matter what. But I don't think you need to go overboard as a young high school guy. I think quality over quantity in terms of video and stuff like that. So if you can get some good footage of games, good footage of maybe some training stuff, I think that really kind of paints the picture that we as college coaches really need to see, rather than 20 pitch bullpen, maybe a 2-minute game clip with music added in the back. Like, some of those are a little bit extra, where we're really just trying to get to the baseball of it. So short and sweet would be my advice.
That's great advice for him. So a really good question came in here, Coach. I think you can address some of this as well for sure. So obviously getting to the head first type of events, or those showcase type events, isn't the only way for you guys to see recruits, right? But if people aren't able to get to those kind of things, or if there's if there's maybe if it's just more challenging to get out to like this kind of showcase events in general, what are some other ways that they can sort of spark that recruiting process with you guys, be able to get those conversations started, and maybe begin that process with you outside of like being seen at some showcase type of events?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I love it, actually, because showcases are just a tool, but that's what they are. They're a tool. They aren't the end all be all. They aren't the only way to get recruited. It's just an easy tool that you're able to use. The name of the game really doesn't change based on if the venue is a big shiny showcase, or if it's your backyard where you're taking swings into a net. I'm going to look for the same things at both of those, in both of those situations. I understand showcases are pretty expensive, and sometimes they're nowhere near where you're living. So they're not accessible to everybody, but my email is accessible to everybody. My social medias are accessible to everybody. If you need to be on my radar, reach out, get on my radar, because I would love to have you, and that's really the best way to kind of get on my radar, is by reaching out to me personally. And we'll start the relationship from there.
And the beauty of like technology nowadays, unlike, I don't know how old you are, Coach, but I think I'm a little older than you. Like, it was VHS tapes for me in high school. So like the beauty of it nowadays, we all have a phone and right in our pockets with a camera, right? So like, there's no excuse. You can throw a bullpen in your backyard. You can get some BP in the backyard, just like Coach was saying. So, you don't, like you said, you don't have to get to the showcase events. You got that phone, that camera on there, get some film and send it out and get that feedback. So awesome. All right. So great questions so far, guys. Coach, we can maybe start to wrap some few things up here a little bit, but I did want to ask you if you had just a couple pieces of advice for these guys in the room here tonight around just sort of, recruiting in general. I know you've brought a lot of great advice already, but anything that's been left out that you were hoping to kind of pass along to them, or anything else that kind of comes to mind, a couple pieces of advice for them as they're working through the process here tonight?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I love to stress to high school athletes is enjoy the process. Like, this is this should be fun. It should be exciting. I know it's a big decision. I know it's stressful at times and even scary at times, but I hope I haven't come off as somebody who's scary or somebody, who is going to be in your ear for an answer right now or anything like that. Like at the end of the day, I'm part of this profession because I love the game of baseball and I love helping guys play baseball. If that's for me, awesome, but that's that's not the end of the story. If it's not, there's a ton of great
Mhm.
programs out there. There's a ton of really great coaches out there, and I hope everybody finds a home. And I hope everybody that wants to play gets that opportunity to. So anything that I can do to help you achieve that, I'm more than willing to do that, whether it's with me or not.
Awesome. No, I appreciate you filling the guys in on that. I think that's and hey, don't be afraid to take him up on that, right, guys? If you have questions, find Coach on Twitter, shoot him up with an email, right? Like reach out. Most college coaches, just like Coach said, are just baseball dudes, right? They're usually not scary guys, intimidating guys. Like, hey, they're just dudes that want to talk baseball, and they'd be happy to hear from you. So don't ever feel like you got to hold off or think it's got to be the right specific scenario. So good stuff. Well, I know some other questions are going to be popping in here, but Coach, any other kind of just final thoughts? I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. Was there anything else you were hoping to share tonight that I didn't ask or bring up here for you as far as any
No,
topics go?
yeah, I think we covered a lot of things that
Cool,
were important to me. I
cool.
love that, young guys are able to get this information in an easy to digest way like you're doing
Yeah,
here. So I really appreciate you having me on.
yeah.
It's been a great time and looking forward to some more great questions if they got them.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I think we got a couple coming in. But real quick, guys, as y'all are thinking of some questions here, let's just kind of wrap a few things up. I'm going to briefly hit a couple things here. We've got our roster openings page. Make sure you guys are keeping an eye on the roster openings page. When we hear from coaches, we share with you what their roster needs are. So take a look at those. If you guys want to get some updated evaluations and get some matches updated, keep your videos coming, get your numbers updated so we can evaluate you guys, give you some feedback, and we'll reach out to coaches on your behalf too, right? If you guys are a good fit, we'll send you out some high match programs, coaches that you have interest in. We'll do some outreach for you too, as well as, helping guide you guys in the communication that you're going to have with coaches as well. Okay. Reach out to us. We're open every day there. And real quick, don't anybody jump out yet. All right. Before you go, even if you're done, let me get it in the chat box here real quick. I want to put a link to a survey in the chat box. I just dropped it in there. Everybody who's in here, click on that, take 30 seconds. Always appreciate the feedback on that survey link there. Hopefully tonight's conversation has been helpful for you guys. Love to hear that, but anything else that you guys have some feedback on, drop it in there. All right, so let's get some questions, but if you guys are good, feel free to jump out of here, but I know some questions are popping in here. So, one question came in, Coach, as far as like just kind of seeing a guy's video, do you want to see it like just attached to an email? Do you want to see a profile? Do you want to see like a social media post? Like just however they can send it? Like what's kind of the best way for them to get that video to you?
Yeah, so I really don't have much of a preference. I hope Coach Hollabaugh is not on here watching, but he's not as tech savvy with the Twitter and the X and all that. So if it's X or Twitter, send that my way,
Yeah, yeah.
Instagram, all that. But email works for both of us. So
Awesome.
yeah, is any way you can get it to me, I'll be able to see it.
I would say specifically, guys, for the NCSA account, right? Your profile link will have your videos on it. So these coaches, if you send your profile link, they can click on the link and your video should be right on there. But if you want to attach some additional videos that might not be on there, always perfectly appropriate, of course, as well. So this is a good question that came in here, Coach, and I'd love for you to provide some perspective on this. Reaching out to coaches, is that going to help me kind of get closer to that interest or those offers versus just kind of sitting back and waiting to hear from college coaches? What's kind of your perspective on, the approach? Like if I'm just good enough, is a coach going to just let me know, or should I be, taking a little bit more of a proactive approach to it?
I would say absolutely reach out, get
Mm-hmm.
yourself on people's radars. There's no limit to how many schools you can check out or how many
Mm-hmm.
schools you can be interested or how many schools you can look up online. So I fully encourage everybody, take a look, take your time, make a good decision. And to make a good decision, you're going to need a lot of information. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
need a lot of time to think about it. And us as college coaches, like we understand that
Yep.
it's not a easy decision and we're not looking for a decision, right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's time and we want you to take the time to make a good decision because when we want you here for 4 years, right? We
Yep.
don't want you here unsure and then, year two, now we have a roster spot open, right?
Yeah.
So we want it to be a good fit for us as it is for you. So it's
Yeah.
important that, we're both honest with each other and we're making sure that, things are working on both sides.
And I will just say, from my own coaching experience, literally the best player that I ever recruited was the guy that reached out to us first. Okay. I would love to say I took credit of like, hey, I found him and discovered him. And this dude just sent us a message and sent his information. It's like, wow, this guy looks really freaking good. How did we miss on him? And then we got the conversation going. He ended up being the best player like in our school's history. So anyway, you never know. These coaches, coach said it earlier. It's him. It's the head coach. Like, they cannot identify every single guy that could be a good fit for them. They're going to rely on you reaching out. So always take that approach. So yeah, great advice there, coach. Appreciate that. All right. So questionnaires, you kind of mentioned it. What else do you guys do with the recruiting questionnaires though? Right? Like what do you do with that information? Like, why is it worth the time for these guys to fill those out?
Yeah, it's such a great tool for us. It kind of automatically pulls all your information, able to put it in whatever format we need. We can go state by state, we can go position by position, we can go most recent filled out, we can break kids up into different lists and then just search specific lists. So it's really such a great tool for us to kind of take these videos and these names that we're getting from X and Instagram and email and questionnaires, and we can all kind of put it in one place where we can easily access it. So it just, if you fill the survey out, it just makes it so much easier for us. And that's really, for us at Grinnell, that's something that we look at as kind of an initiation that you're interested in us, right? If we have to ask you 2, 3, 4, well, I'm not going to ask you 4 times, but if we have to ask you 2, 3 times to fill out the survey, that's a pretty good indication to me that, maybe you're not as interested in us as we'd like you to be, or maybe the fit isn't there, and that's fine. But, it is what it is. But, it is something that, if we reach out and you fill out that questionnaire, that's kind of a sign that, oh, you are interested in our school as well.
Yeah, good stuff. I appreciate that insight, coach. I think a lot of times the guys always have maybe some questions around that. So I think that's some good insight into it. So one thing I wanted to ask you real quick, and I don't want to keep you too late here, coach, but I did have one other question I want to ask you here, and then we'll see if any others pop in. Obviously we're in a time period now in college recruiting where the transferring is a big thing, right? Like, guys moving from one program to the next, transfer portals and all that kind of stuff. How has that affected your guys' program at all? I know in Division III, maybe it's not as a big of an impact, but how has that sort of like crept into your guys' world as maybe guys leaving your program, or have you guys like looked at the portal a little bit to maybe fill some gaps? How has the kind of the world of the transfer portal nowadays been affecting you guys?
Yeah, it's the Wild West out there for sure. We are, maybe lucky is a good word for it, but we are such a small niche where we have to check off the academics. We have to check off, the Iowa baseball, the D3 baseball, and then the fact that it is a little bit harder to transfer into Grinnell rather than just getting in as a new student. So it just adds a couple more hoops to jump through. So that's not our A plan for sure to go to the transfer portal. We would much rather recruit guys out of high school and kind of, groom them and make sure that we're getting them to their full potential rather than kind of going outside and trying to find somebody in the portal.
Cool. So you guys haven't seen a lot of movement kind of either direction yet as far as like that affecting your program?
No, yeah, we really are lucky to not have to deal with that too much on either side. Being such a strong academic school, you're either here because that's part of why you're here, or you're not here because that's part of why you're
Exactly. Good stuff. Again, some good insight there, because I think a lot of times people just assume like, oh, every college program in the country is just guys are coming and going and flying everywhere. Not necessarily the case, right? It's all going to be, every transfer is a unique situation. So, always keep that in mind as well. So cool, guys. Well, any other questions? Coach has probably got a couple more minutes here, but I don't want to keep him too late. But any other final questions from anybody in here? Or coach, any other final thoughts that come to mind here before we get these guys out of here?
If there's no more questions, I would
Cool.
just encourage you guys to stay strong in your processes. Good luck to all of you guys. I hope you guys find the best situations and good homes for all you guys. But more than anything, hope to see you guys out on the road and hopefully one day in a Grinnell uniform.
Awesome. Well, Coach, one thing real quick, something popped in. I noticed this is that your email address is maybe not listed on the website for Grinnell. Maybe just Coach Hollaball is listed on there, and so we only have him maybe showing as the coach just because of like the email. Do you have an email address we can share with the guys? Can I type it in the chat box real quick? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely let them know about that as well.
Yeah.
But you can reach me at Pfeiffer S at Grinnell, so PFEIFFERS at Grinnell .edu.
Yep.
And then that's a great way to get in touch with me. I'm constantly on my email, and it's on my phone, it's on my laptop, so it's a really great way to get in touch with me.
I will include that in the follow-up email. But yeah, if talk to like maybe your SID or something, get that on the website, because then we'll get that listed in there. So good stuff. I'm glad. Thanks for mentioning that. We'll definitely take a look at that too and make sure we get Coach in there as well. Awesome. Well, I appreciate the time, Coach. This was phenomenal. Thank you so much. We'll get you back on for one of these here sometime down the road for sure. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Everybody have a great night, and I'm sure that we'll be seeing everybody soon. Y'all have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.